probably 10 years before I realized that the Grateful Dead was sort of a jam band instead of like a Slayer or Iron Maiden type metal act. Like, I just assumed, based on the pictures and what he talked about, that it, like, when I heard acid rock, I assumed that this was really heavy music.
Maximum corrosive music, right?
Exactly.
That's what I thought too.
And so it's funny how there's these overlapping tendrils of ignorance that obviously he didn't know exactly what he was writing about. And as a kid, when I was reading this, I didn't know either. And he has a great line: a better name couldn't have been given to this group to describe their music. I'm sure many will be grateful when their music is dead. I love how in this grab bag of rock and roll offenses, when they get to the Aerosmith part, he's talking about...
You could just write straight reportage on them, would be damning enough.
You could do straight reportage, but it's like the main focus of the group is Steven Tyler, their lead singer. His fantasies were fulfilled when with Cynthia Fox, Serinda Fox, whom he married after she became pregnant with his child. And so, as a statement, it's like, okay, so he got a woman pregnant and married her. Like, what? Like, that doesn't seem like a very intense offense, you know?
Right.
And in fact, that's actually within the Christian community. When you get your girlfriend pregnant, the honorable thing to do is to marry your girlfriend. So, I think he was maybe didn't spend enough time. He could have found a lot of better dirt on Aerosmith. It's like half a page.
Yeah.
But he talks about he gets his girlfriend pregnant, you know?
People throw stuff on stage at our concerts. That's one of the things that it's just like the dangers of Aerosmith. People get carried away in the audience and throw things on stage.
Right.
Right.
Well, they talked about the Bee Gees chapter talks about how, well, they didn't do cocaine, but they smoked weed sometimes, you know.
Oh my God.
And so I'm just thinking, like, how many people in the 70s didn't do cocaine but smoked weed? I mean, you know.
All of them?
Right. Yeah. Right. And actually, there's one huge. Did you catch one huge irony in this? What was the biggest imbalance in the pages of these book? That's sort of a leading question, but I'm curious about what idiosyncrasies jumped out.
I don't know. The whole thing really just seemed laughable to me.
Well, I'll just jump in right now, and you guys can riff on this if you want or point out other idiosyncrasies. But he's talking about how rock and roll is encouraging people to be violent and irreverent. And then he has this 3-page example from the Bible about how God orders the people of his followers to kill the Amalekites, basically.
Right, yes.
He incites this part of the Bible. He's trying to make a point about loyalty,
Right.
loyalty to God. But the actual biblical passage he pulls out isn't from the Gospels.
It's Old Testament.
It isn't from the wisdom of the Old Testament. It's from the prophets of the Old Testament. Yeah. And it's about basically the people of Israel is, sort of deciding that God is telling them to kill everybody.
Right.
And there's a lot of weird genocidal stuff in some of the prophets of the Old Testament. And so he's trying to make this prim point, but he sort of counteracts all of this advice. Like, what could be, throwing panties on the stage or smoking dope? This is about a time in history when God ordered one tribe to kill every last living creature in another tribe. And, I'm sure people who were not really given to critical thinking, that just washed right over them because it was out of the Bible. But in terms of pure content, you spent 50 pages of your book, splitting hairs over the minor offenses like transcendental meditation and ecology.
Right.
Then he tells a 3-page story about God demanding that you kill everybody in another tribe.